What a dreary, stormy day it is today, but to uplift our mood a little is this very beautiful SUV right beside us. This is the 2023 Chery Tiggo 8 Pro in the 2.0 all-wheel drive variant. Today, let's see if this car is worth paying a premium for compared to the regular Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 1.6 front-wheel drive. Just like the Tiggo 8 Pro 1.6, you have a very beautiful grille. They call this some sort of the black diamond grille, and you have so much of that like chrome patterns all around it. The rest of the grille also has chrome surrounds. Even right here at the corners of your bumpers, you have these like big fake vents, also with a lot of chrome. This car really is a little bit more catered to the more mature buyer, so they really didn't hold out when it comes to chrome. Your lighting too, they're all LEDs, even your DRLs, they're all LEDs. And over at the side of the vehicle, even more chrome. All around your windows, right here by the bottom, there's a chrome garnish. And this is the part that I'm not a big fan of. While I love chrome, this section right here where it says TGDI, it looks kind of cheap. I just wish that Chery just ditched that altogether. For your rims, you get 18 inches wrapped in Cooper tires, and if you don't know Cooper, they make really good off-road tires. I really love how this car comes factory equipped with privacy glass for the rear seats. For the rear too, I love how Chery already removed the old Chery logo, or well, I mean the current Chery logo. Instead, they just spelled Chery out for you. Here on the top, you have some sort of a spoiler effect. You even have a shark's fin antenna at the top. And at the bottom, you even have quad exhaust pipes. And checking these right now, they all feel real. Now, this car also has this additional badging, which is quite funny. You see this in a lot of Chinese-made vehicles. It says 390T right here. So apparently that is the torque figures, and they put the torque instead of the horsepower because usually the torque in Newton meters is more than the horsepower. Now, also the Tiggo 8 Pro badge. It's kind of weird how the Pro is outlined in red. I just wish they left that as chrome, but yeah, it still looks pretty good as it is. Even the all-wheel drive badge on the right side. Now, you have a power tailgate, and it's not the fastest out there, but it's okay. And right here, as long as you have the third row seats down, you have plenty of space. Fold them up and you can still get to put a couple of soft bags. For your powertrain, well, now you get a 2-liter turbocharged gasoline engine making 258 horsepower and 390 Newton meters of torque. To put this into perspective, the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 1.6 gets around 60 horsepower less and 100 Newton meters of torque less. So this really gets a big power bump. It is still made it to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and you can do around 8.7 kilometers per liter in the city and 13.5 kilometers per liter on the highway. Right now inside, we check the door thud. It sounds really good. It feels very premium, and so does the rest of the cabin of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 2.0, because if you take a look at your dashboard, the sidings of your doors, and even your seats, they are all covered in really soft leather. Even the dashboard itself, when you just press it, that is really padded. Here on the side, those are all really thick padding too. You even get memory seat functions for this, which is pretty rare for a car of its class. And it's what, 3 settings for the memory? That really is amazing. You even have a dual screen setup. This center screen even comes with Apple CarPlay. It is wired though, but still it is really clear. You also get a 360-degree view camera, and for your digital instrument cluster, you even have like a couple of modes. So if you want it in classic mode, you want it in fashion mode, or even what they call the streamer mode, you can all configure it right from here. What is kind of odd with this car is the steering wheel. I know that it is a large car, but they really took the steering wheel a notch above. This wheel is just massive, and while you can tilt and telescope it, it doesn't seem to come down far enough, so sometimes you feel that it is a little bit too high. Nonetheless, you do get your paddle shifters right here behind it as well. Towards the center, you get yet another screen, and this controls your AC system. This is also where you're going to control your heated and ventilated seats, and oddly, this is where you will toggle your lane keep assist and lane departure warning. It's kind of really odd why it's here by the AC system, but yeah. Down below, there is a wireless charging pad. You have an electronic shifter, electronic parking brake, and an auto hold function. This car also gets a couple of drive modes, and you toggle that via this center wheel. But what's kind of funny is that every time you toggle it,
Normal mode entered.
It proudly announces
Sports mode entered.
which mode you've entered. Okay, enough of that. The seats, very comfortable. You have a quilted pattern. There's some sort of like diamond shapes in it. It's really nice. And you even have these like butterfly ears to really just cradle your head. It really is comfortable. Power adjustable for both the driver and the passenger. And on top, you even get a massive panoramic sunroof. This comes with adaptive cruise control. You have your lane departure warning, lane keep assist, and you even have TJA or traffic jam assistant. This car can pretty much drive itself both on the highway as well as in low city speeds. Even in stop and go traffic, this car will do the accelerator, the braking, as well as the steering for you. It is pretty impressive. Now here at the back, we also check the door. Sounds really, really good. Anyway, back here, this feels like a premium executive car because you get so much space, you have comfortable seating, even your headroom is also really good despite having a big panoramic sunroof. You also get so much toys back here, so aside from having the usual such as your center armrest with 2 cup holders, you even have this control panel, and it doesn't just adjust the fan speed for your rear AC. You can even control some sort of like ionization thing, like an air purifier thing in this car. And it tells you like how bad the air quality is outside versus what you're gonna get inside, which is, well, cleaner air because of the filtration system. Also, if you are seated here in the premier seat, the rear right seat, you can even adjust the front seats to give you more space, all from a button just at the side of that front passenger seat. You can also slide these seats forwards and backwards, and if you do recline them, they really recline pretty far back, so you can really get comfortable back here. Also, your headrest has the same as the front. It has butterfly ears for extra comfort, and this car also gets third row seats. But that third row seats, well, it is more than usable for adults. You do have to slide these second row seats forward to just give them a little bit more space. So now we drive the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 2.0 all-wheel drive, and driving this honestly is pretty similar to the 1.6, but that extra 60 horsepower or so, it really plays a difference. I wouldn't say that it is a big difference, but at least not for the horsepower, but when it comes to the torque, you really feel all that rotational power more. So upon hard acceleration, this car just has a lot of turbo lag, like a big ton of turbo lag. But as you get past that, it really does kick you back to your seat. And wheel spin, you should expect it to happen, but since it has an all-wheel drive platform, well, you don't get any of it. And especially now that it is raining really hard, this all-wheel drive really helps with a lot of acceleration. Next, the handling. Since it is an all-wheel drive, and especially again when it's raining and you do want to corner this car, despite its size, it still handles pretty well. Of course, you will still feel a lot of body roll. It is a very heavy vehicle, also a very big vehicle, but still it is pretty manageable. The suspension, it's so comfortable. Like it's pretty surprising how comfortable this car is. If you've rode in a Camry before, it's a little bit similar. It's about as soft, if not just a little bit firmer compared to a Camry. And as long as you drive this inside the city, you're not going to have any issues. The only issue that you're going to have with the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 2.0 all-wheel drive is how playful the chassis is. You see, the shock absorbers, they're a little bit on the pretty okay side. They're firm enough, but for some reason, the chassis itself, it is just so playful. So you feel a lot of like movements in it, some micro movements. So if you're someone who gets car sick easily or motion sick, well, yeah, this is definitely a car to avoid. Even I, who don't usually get motion sickness, when I'm a passenger in this, I maybe want to have some sort of an air sickness bag right beside me. So stock up in your next flight. As for steering, since it is a ginormous vehicle, it is pretty rightful that Chery did put a ginormous steering wheel too. But yeah, as mentioned earlier too, it's a little bit too big. So while this car is pretty manageable when it comes to handling and also, well, steering, the problem is that because of how big the steering wheel is, the car feels a lot bigger than it is. This is only a mid-size crossover SUV, but if you put your hands on these massive set of steering wheel, then you feel like you're driving a full-size SUV. Your adaptive cruise control, it is pretty good. It's not too jerky. I really love it. And your lane keep assist and lane departure warning, it works pretty well too. But the biggest praise that I can give it is its TJA, or its traffic jam assistant. In a lot of cars, yes, the car can take over your steering, it can help you with your steering, but only usually in highway speeds. But for the Tiggo 8 Pro 2.0 all-wheel drive, you can do it even in stop and go traffic. And I mean below 30 kilometers per hour, below 10 kilometers per hour even, it still seems to work. And that really just takes a lot of the stress out of the driving experience, especially when you go long journeys or if you sit in really, really bad EDSA traffic. One thing I forgot to mention is the transmission. So this uses the dual clutch transmission, and thankfully it is a wet type. When you're in the forward gears, it's super responsive, especially under hard acceleration. And in low city speeds and stop and go traffic, it's also surprisingly not jerky. However, the only time I found this car to be a little bit jerky when it comes to the transmission is when you put it into reverse. So, I mean, you're using the same types and the exact same clutches, right? So why is the reverse jerky but the forward speed's not jerky? Well, I don't know. Also, visibility isn't exactly the best, because while the car has pretty big windows, my issue is, especially here at the front, the hood is a little bit high, despite the dashboard also being a little bit lower. So yeah, it just gives you this slight sense that you're not seeing enough of the road in front of you, and it doesn't really give you too much of an amazing driving position. So now for pricing, you can get the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 2.0 all-wheel drive for 1,998,000 pesos, or around 300,000 pesos more compared to the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 1.6. If you're getting this vehicle simply for the engine and maybe the all-wheel drive powertrain, which honestly you wouldn't really use too much here inside, let's say, Manila, well, then maybe it is not worth it. But if you couple that with the much nicer interior and the, I forgot to mention, the Sony branded sound system, then I think that this car is not only a better buy compared to the 1.6, but also a great car overall.